Back here inside the Wellness and Events Center as NJIT losing to Southeast Missouri State by a score of 68-58. They are now 1-6 on the season. And now joining me is head coach Mike Lane. And Mike, I'd rather be talking to you after a win, but obviously after a tough loss here at home against the Red Hawks, close one, but obviously the Red Hawks prevailing there in the end. As that final quarter came to an end there, what did you see from your team that allowed them to come up a little short?
I just think the pressure got to us. I thought we handled it at times. I mean, not very well, but 22 turnovers, and then when it's just a drip, and it keeps coming at you, and you just make tiny little mistakes that turn into 2 or 4 points here or there. And I think that hurts you, and that's what we just talked about in the locker room. At the end of the first quarter, end of the second quarter, we had leads, and then all of a sudden we're only up 2, and we could have been up 5 or 7 or something like that. And just those little mistakes are just magnified. And then in the fourth quarter, when you've dealt with it for 35 minutes, we're wilting in the fourth, and that's not because we went back to back. That's been what has been happening. We're giving up 20 points in the fourth quarter, and we got to figure out how to stop it.
Fouls started to pick up a little bit too. You really had to make some adjustments because, between Milena and also too with Kelly, getting in some trouble with the fouls, and of course even Danny as well too. And knowing that some of the players mentioned some key players, but you had to pull Kelly off on defense, putting her back in, and even Jill early on was making a nice play in the early portion, but then she got caught with 3 fouls. So how do you look to hopefully see that adjust in the future?
Yeah, and I think they were the aggressor. So, that's, yes, we're fouling, but it's because that team, we're not getting them in situations where they're not going to be aggressive. And, they were in situations going on right drives, we're fouling them. They're getting putbacks, and we're just fouling them at the end. So some of that is defense that needs to get better. And, we're not very deep. We know that. Everyone knows that. We got to be smarter on the defensive end.
But some positive things to take away is, 2 of your 3-point shooters really had a nice day. I mean, Kelly, once again, carrying over her 3-point shooting from yesterday. And then Ellen Stahl finally, with a real nice game, 18 points, was perfect at one point from 3-point range. From as you're getting a chance to know your team, know these players, and seeing, what Ellen was capable of doing. How do you get a player like that for Ellen to find that consistency? What do you think she needs to do?
Well, it's tough because she's playing 40 minutes.
Yeah,
so, that's a great effort for a kid who had to deal with that pressure, and then she's knocking down shots. And, but you find shooters in our style of play when you move the ball. So all those threes generally, other than like Kelly, got some maybe a transition 3 here or there, but that's part of it as well. But when our ball is moving, then their defense is chasing, and those opportunities are presenting themselves, and we just didn't do that enough. That was the key to the game, was the movement. We didn't move against their pressure. We just froze. There was a lot of times they were denying us on the wing, and we just stood there. And so now the kid with the ball can't go where she has to go. And they got to, we talked about that today. We were talking about getting some cuts and getting some movement, and I think they know that they didn't do that. Now we don't face that pressure in practice every day,
right?
And that's what I told them. I'm like, hey, we're going to see this as we go forward. We've seen this at St. Peter's, we've seen it at FDU, we've seen it at West Virginia, and it's the best practice we can have at some level, and we'll start to learn. And we were in the game. Again, it was a game in the fourth quarter that maybe we had a chance to get, but we just couldn't make the plays at the end.
Now, once again, you're going to have to go on the road on Wednesday before you get the chance to come back and enjoy the Wellness and Events Center here next Sunday. And, now that you have at least a few days before you have to play again on Wednesday, and I know you talked about a lot of the things that you're going to look to work with your team prior to Wednesday, whether it's dealing with the pressure, dealing with, trying to cure these turnover woes. But what else are you hoping that your team could look to improve upon between now and your next contest at Ryder?
Well, the 2 big things that we always talk about are toughness and our intelligence. And, today the tougher team won. They were on the glass. They hit their free throws. They didn't turn the ball over. I told our team, and the math is probably not right here, but 50-50 balls are easily 80-20 for the other team right now. Like I told them, when the ball's in our hands, it might be a 50-50 ball. When the ball is outside our hands, they're going to get them. They're getting offensive glass. They're on the floor. We're throwing soft passes against pressure, and they're going to get the ball. And so we got to work on that. I mean, we've learned it a little bit at a time. It's too incremental for my take, but we got to get a little bit better at that because teams are going to continue to pressure us. And there were times like again that first half was a little bit better. We had some breaks of it, but we got to stay disciplined to really hurt some pressure.
All right, Coach. Well, good luck on Wednesday at Ryder. Hopefully you can bring home a win, and looking forward to seeing you next Sunday when you take on Vermont.
Yeah, we need a win in those red uniforms.
Yes, you do. Yes. So that is head coach Mike Lane. It's been great getting a chance to know and work with him so far, but that'll do it. I'm Mike Ventola. Thanks for watching.